I'm Sue Schneider, and I did the machine embroidery on the stairwell for Margie Erlandson's piece. And I was very taken by Dorothy Leonard Judd's words. The words that are embroidered were taken from her journals. And I feel like when I was embroidering her words that I came to know her in some of her passion and love for activism, and she was very instrumental in helping legislation pass for midwives to be trained, because the birth rate was so high that women were having babies without professional help. And she also was very instrumental in helping women become able, or women to be able to vote. And so I was very drawn into her personality as I was stitching her words. So it was an honor to be able to be a part of this.
Well, my name's Mandy Burrow, and I decided to address the maids' quarters in the Leonard at Logan house. And so I realized that the maids did a lot of work outside of their own quarters, and so this mess that I've created is much more about them not having time to take care of their own quarters, but rather taking care of the quarters of the owners of the houses, or of the house. And then also there's a lot of personal paraphernalia, so that you see that, you know, these are human beings that should be valued and that should be able to have some sort of time to attend to their own needs, yet that becomes an impossibility in the circumstances. And so I even made the quarters a little more cramped than usual, just to sort of emphasize that.
So I had to do something that would talk about history and in a different way. So we also had an idea of having an installation. Like all the time we were thinking about just an installation that would be about a house and women in a house. And my idea all the way from the beginning was that women, like mothers, represent the structure of a home. If the mother dies or goes away, the whole structure of a family just falls apart. So I wanted to talk about that, and how women play such an important role in our society, and this role is never recognized in society. Now, after like thinking about that, I just started to, it just fell into like talking about women's struggles. Like, women have to take care of their families, and then at the same time they have their own struggles as human beings, like, not just as women. And the suffrage was like one cause that it just seemed like very obvious to talk about, and I wanted to talk especially about that in Grand Rapids, just to make it like connect with the house. And so I did research at the library, and I went through like the papers from the 1912 to 1920, just to research what was going on in Grand Rapids during that era, and how the papers were talking about these issues. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, in a whole piece of paper, the articles were like this big, and they were like sometimes buried in all this other information that didn't seem like these didn't seem relevant. The only front page that I found was when in 1919, like, it actually the suffrage or the vote was granted to women. But the day that happened, it didn't even make it to the front page, because the war was going on, so the war was more important. So it's just interesting to see how all these like very important stories don't get to like make it to the front page. But on the other hand, there's so many ads about things that women may need, like pills for depression and things for like making your face look better. Courses, hats, everything to make you look pretty, but all the important issues that women are working on, they don't even make it to the paper. So it was very difficult for me to find all these. I had to like go over and over and over, like for this huge period of time. So some of the some of the clippings from paper, they look this big, but they were actually like this big. So they're like this big. So that's, and the way I'm representing it, it's like I'm playing with the idea of dust and how I'm really talking about history. So my idea of history is like the tangible history. History is just in books and in our minds, but I feel like when you go with your finger and remove dust, it's like the time that has passed. There is no dust from that era, I know that, but just how like history starts accumulating around us, and we are completely unaware of what's going on around us, or until we go and look into the papers, or until we know from people who went through these struggles. So it's like a way of playing how these stories impregnated into the bed sheets. Like when we cover stuff, it's from dust to prevent dust from like covering our stuff. So it's like I'm representing all this dust with the stories from the paper. And these stencils on the floor, these are like from stories in the paper, and they have a date to remind you of what was going on during that time. And the dust is flour, and it's also ashes, and just like the ashes, it represents, it's a little creepy because it represents like the ones who are like gone, who are struggling, and also the bread, which is our daily struggle. Like we are still struggling to make changes. Yeah.
Okay.